Hey everyone. Okay, so today I want to talk with everyone about something that happened in my own life. And essentially, what's been going on is there's been a series of things that have been happening that led me to connect to a particular individual. And I won't go into too many details because that's her own personal privacy and business. But I actually started sharing with her a testimony to help her that really God told me this is something that my children need to know because this is something that my children need encouragement on and need their faith increased and bolstered around. So I want to share with y'all today a testimony from my own life when basically I felt like I kind of went on a journey, on a continuum from God just doesn't see me. He's too busy, I'm insignificant, to I'm angry at God because he's actively choosing not to do things for me. To full circle of like, oh my goodness, God had his hand in this thing for 15 years before I even saw it. And here I was thinking he didn't care, he didn't see me, or he just straight up fell down on the job. Okay. So let me tell you what happened with me. So many of you all know, probably from the title, my YouTube name, that I am a doctor. So I have my doctorate degree in psychology. And so what that means is 4 years of undergrad, 2 years for master's, 4 years for my doctorate degree. So 10 years of college. Massive amount of time, massive amount of money, but it is what it is. So that's essentially what's going on with my education. So what happened was I come from a family who does not have just oodles and gobs and bundles of money laying around in the corner for us to go to school. So during the time, it was high school. It was me and my sister. I was going into high school as my sister was coming out of high school. So during that time, my mom actually sowed a seed, right? She said God was telling her that she needed to give this contribution to the church, and that if she did, her children's education would be taken care of. And so this was during a time when my parents were having some transitions, changing jobs, just doing some things. And any sacrifice financially was going to be a large one. So it was $100 offering that she gave to the church. And so for some folks, they're like, oh, what? That ain't nothing. That's not that big of a deal. For other folks, they're like, wow, that's a ton of money. The amount doesn't matter. The point is, and I'm going to get to this at the end, that is actually what activated the promise. But and how God paid her back like 10,000 fold, like a lot. Okay. So he said, give this $100 offering. And so she came home and she told my sister and myself about it. You know, I gave an offering today at church. God let me know that he's going to take care of you all's school. And at that point I was so young, I was like, okay. didn't mean a ton to me. I'm like, okay. I grew up in a Christian home. My mom is a minister. She's a pastor. My dad's a deacon and all of that. But we all know that doesn't mean that I had a relationship. I just knew of God at that time. So I was like, okay, sounds good. So my sister gets ready to apply to college. And when she does, she gets a full ride, which is a huge deal. The school that she went to, those 4 years of education is somewhere probably around about $100,000, right? For those 4 years. Mom sewed in 100. My sister got $100,000 scholarship to go to school. So she finishes that up and she's getting ready to go to grad school. Everything went fine. Okay, yay, congratulations, sissy. That's how I feel, right? So it's my turn to start applying to colleges. I apply and I apply to scholarships. I try and do this, try and do that. I even tried to get like an ROTC scholarship. Y'all can't tell this because I'm sitting down. I'm an itty bitty old thing. I am tiny, tiny, tiny. So I was too short to even go into the to even go into the military. We come from a military family. It's very important to me. So I wanted to serve as well. I was too itty bitty. So that didn't even work out. So I got one scholarship out of everything that I applied to. And now as an adult looking back and with my relationship with God, I'm like, thank you, God. That was so generous. At the time, honey, I was like, that's it. Y'all, I'm not proud, but it is what it is. Okay. I was like, that's it. So I got basically a scholarship equivalent to a few books, a few textbooks that first semester. That was absolutely it. So at the age of 18, going into college, I feel like I am signing my life away in student loan debt. I was depressed. I was upset. I was frustrated. I wasn't even upset with God though, because honestly, at that point I had so little connection with him that I felt a little bit indifferent about it. Like, oh, I thought I was going to get some money. Okay, I guess God just didn't, I guess he forgot. I don't know. I wasn't even upset, oddly enough. I noticed it, but I wasn't upset. So then fast forward, I applied for my master's program, get in, no problem. Again, another stack of debt. I got to sign and sign and sign. Okay. So that happens. Then I finish up my master's program, no problem. Get ready to go in for my doctorate degree. I apply to schools and I get in nowhere. Okay. So this is my master's year to my doctorate program. There was a year in between. I got in nowhere. And that's when I got mad. That's when it went from indifferent, oh, maybe God doesn't see me, or maybe I don't, no big deal, to like, God, what? Like, I'm here for you. Well, I know who you are. Like, I pray to you. I, say grace over my food and stuff. Like, I don't denounce you. I know you're around. And you promised my mom. You told her that you would get her children, that their education would be taken care of. You took care of my sister. And I guess I'm so insignificant to you, or so unimportant that you gave me, a very small kind of, here's a few books, and you just forgot about me and you left me. And I'm like, my grades are higher than most people in my master's program with me. I have publications. I've gotten things accepted. I've written articles. Like, there's no reason why I would have gotten rejected from all of these different schools. And to say hot and mad would honestly be an understatement. I was hot and mad and depressed and down, and it was a whole hot mess, y'all. I was upset with God at that point. I was angry. And I felt like, you don't care any more about me than to just leave me out here struggling. This is my dream. And not only did you not see me, but then now you don't even try to help me. Again, I'm signing my life away. I'm getting all the debt that I'm not supposed to be getting, and you can't even let me get in. Like, what is this about? So this is where it gets good. Okay, this is where it gets good. So my master's program, well, it's been good the whole time, but stick with me. Okay, so my master's program. So I graduated my master's program in May. God blessed me with a job the moment I walked across the stage. I didn't even register that. I didn't even see that as a blessing. Walked straight off the stage on Friday or whenever graduation was, and literally started my job on Monday. Like, there was no in between. So the Lord provided. Even against my raging, he still saw me. He was like, I accounted for her attitude. So, okay. So he provided. I had a job. So I'm going along in my job, doing my thing. In about 6 months or so, might have actually been 7 months, which would be beautiful and very divine. But I don't remember those details. It was not even a full year. It was nowhere close to a full year yet. So I'm going on in my job, and I get a call. All right. So it's about 6, 7, 8 months, somewhere in that general window. I'm driving to and from work, going where I was going. And I get it was either a call or an email. A professor from the university that I had just graduated at said, hey, you probably aren't aware of this because you were in the master's program, but we have been putting together a doctoral program here at our university. And last year was the first year or the second year or whenever. It was very early. It hadn't even been accredited yet or anything. He said, so you might not be aware of this, but we are reaching out to you because you were such a strong candidate in our master's program. We want to personally invite you to apply. So they had been working on creating a doctoral program while I was in my master's program that not only had your tuition completely covered, y'all, so a full ride for a doctoral degree, but also a stipend to live on while I was going to this program, equivalent to about $120,000 worth of money to get this final step done. So my sister got $100,000, I got about $120,000. So tell me God ain't good on the return on investment on my mom's $100 seed. But that's actually not what I want to harp on. What I want to harp on is the process of getting there. So before I was sharing my story with this young lady, all I thought about and all I knew was, hey, I couldn't see God working this in my master's program. He was actually creating an entire program for me to walk right into debt-free. That's why it appeared as if that year had to be on hold, right? It wasn't on hold. God was creating something for me to walk seamlessly into and be covered and paid in full by the time I got there. So I was upset about those few little months, but God was over here moving men around, doing all kinds of stuff to create this program, to get the stipends approved, to get this and that and all this stuff. I was like, wow, what a great God we serve. He did all that for me in a year. That is actually not accurate. So when I was talking to this young lady, and I was sharing with her about, yeah, God's so good. I couldn't even see it for that year. God had actually been working that plan for, I can't even do the math, at least 12 years or so. So check this out. I didn't see it until I started testifying to her. And then God was like, nope, a little bit further. Nope, further. Nope, even before that. Nope, I didn't even see God's hand in these things that were happening, but it was always there. And he was making provision for the promise that he gave me. I just had to walk the path. I had to walk the path to the promise. But as soon as my mom sowed that seed, and as soon as God spoke that word and uttered that word to her and said, hey, you do this for me, I'm going to do that for you, it was done. It was done in that instant. I didn't see it, right, until it came to pass because I had to walk the path, but he did it in that instance. So check this. Back when my mom sowed that seed, that $100, right? She sowed a seed, $100 when I was in high school, right? About my freshman year or my sophomore year. I think it was my sophomore year. So she sowed a seed my sophomore year. I was going to school just fine. My junior year, right? So between my sophomore year and my junior year, we got a letter to our home saying that they had randomly selected homes from my housing area to be bused all the way across town to a different school because they were trying to create more diversity. So they assumed that the neighborhood that I lived in was primarily Caucasian. And so they were busing us to a school that was predominantly African American to try and get more diversity, right? So they assumed one thing about who we were based on the neighborhood that we lived. Everyone in my neighborhood did not get selected. Random houses got selected, and mine was one. So a random house. I currently lived so close to my current high school that I could walk to and from, and I got bused to a high school like 25 minutes away on the bus, okay? So my mom sows the seed my sophomore year. The summer of my sophomore year, so God did this immediately. The summer of my sophomore year, we get a letter in the mail saying your home was randomly selected for you to be bused all the way across town to a different high school. And we were like, what? You know, so, but whatever. So, all right. So I get randomly selected to get bused all the way across town my junior year. So I start there my junior year. This junior year was the exact same year that a teacher was passing through my high school. She was there for 1 year, and that was the year that I was there. That teacher, I won't say her name. I don't know if she follows me on YouTube or anything, but that teacher told me about the college that I went to for undergrad, and she told me about the degree, psychology, what I was wanting to do. She got me, we had like Mayor's Youth Awards and stuff. She got me a Mayor's Youth Award. She told me about that college. She encouraged me. She set me on the path to attend the particular university that I did and to attend and to get a psychology degree. Psychology was something that I was interested in, but the guidance counselor at my school actually told me not to bother even applying to that school because it was too prestigious. And she also told me not to do a psychology degree. She said, do something normal, right? She said, do nursing or teaching, because I always had a heart for people. She said, go to this school over here and do something normal, nursing or teaching, right? So it was during, so again, stay with me. My mom sows a seed. That summer we get a letter, your home's randomly selected, you're going to a different school. The same time that the teacher who was there for 1 year was passing through that school, I took her psychology class and she set me on the path to a particular university to study psychology, okay? So that's a whole thing. So I get to that university, I am studying psychology and, everything's going good, so far so good. And it comes time to start applying for master's programs. So I'm applying to master's programs. And at that point, I don't have a lot of confidence in myself. I don't have a lot of confidence in my abilities. I don't have a lot of confidence in my skills. I felt like I really struggled through my university. So it's a very, it's considered regional Ivy League. And so I just felt out of place. I felt like I'm not polished enough to be here. I'm not smart enough to be here. I don't have enough money, enough nice things. My car, I had a very old car that was kind of just, chugging along. I felt out of place. I felt like I wasn't good enough, honestly, to be there. And then because of the financial situation, at any given time, I was working 2 jobs while going to school full time, while being an RA, just to cover my room. So I wouldn't come out of school with even more debt. So I was not super confident in myself. It would be an understatement. So I was like, well, let me apply to as many schools as possible because I'm probably not going to get in anywhere anyway. You know what I mean? Like nobody is going to want me anyway, so whatever. So I applied to as many schools as I could find. And I had a whole spreadsheet on my desktop and all of this good stuff. I wanted to make sure that, I tried all different types of schools, all different levels and blah, 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 blah. Took the GRE, sucked at that super bad. That's a story for another day. But anyway, everything about what was happening in my undergrad made me feel like I'm not really worthy. I'm not really good enough to go to the next level, but I guess I'll just try. So I did all of these different applications and all these different schools, and I remember being all done with everything, and I was just kind of surfing around on the internet. Back then it was probably dial-up or something, I don't know, but I was surfing around, I was doing my thing, and a random advertisement for the school that I ended up going to popped up. So I'm minding my business, I'm pretty well done applying. It costs a ton of money. I'm not even confident I'm going to get anywhere. I'm just like, whatever. And randomly an advertisement for the school that I ended up going to pops up on my screen. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm just sitting here watching TV anyway. Like I might as well I got all this stuff put together for applications anyway. What's another $50 for application fee? Let me just apply there too and see what happens. That's all the schools I can think of. So I got in, believe it or not, to about 5 or 6 of maybe the 10 that I applied to. So I don't know why I was being so hard on myself. That's a word for somebody, but I was. I didn't see in myself what other people saw in me. So anyway, I go ahead and I apply. So I'm looking at all of these different acceptance letters and I'm trying to figure out, okay, which one should I do? Which one is for me? And so at that same time, I had gone to the counseling, advising people at the university there. And she told me, she said, you know what, really for psychology, clinical psychology is the best. Counseling psychology is okay, this and that, she was like, but if you really want to stand out, if you want to be prestigious, you do clinical psych. Y'all, I'm not endorsing that. Anybody this is what was told to me. So I'm a first generation college student. I didn't know any different. I'm like, I got to listen to the folks who know. My shirt says not luck, just God. But I got to listen to the folks who know. So, okay, if she says clinical psych it is. That's the only school that I applied to, was that last school that popped up randomly on my computer screen. That was the only clinical psychology program I had applied to because I had never heard of clinical psychology. I didn't know what it was. So check this out, y'all. So I am applying to different schools, and the one that pops up last, just randomly, is the only clinical psychology program that I applied to. And then I go see someone who says clinical psychology is the program to go to. So God made it so that amongst all the seas of letters, I would pick the school that He was trying to lead me to and direct me to anyway. So I'm like, okay, again, didn't see God in that at all. It's like, oh, I got into one clinical program. They're saying clinical is the best. So I guess I'm off to this program. So I go to that program. That is actually the school, when I was there, that was beginning to develop that doctoral program that I knew nothing about. So I go there, and then, like I said, I graduate. I apply to all those schools. I get in nowhere, and then I get a call from those people. So God strategically placed me at the school that was creating the program that was going to be my provision and the fulfillment of my promise, and I knew nothing about it, right? Isn't that amazing? So all the way back in my, sophomore year of college, my mom sows a seed. Junior year, I get randomly selected to go to a school that this teacher is passing through for exactly 1 year. I connect with her, and she directs me to the college that I went to, right? To study psychology, which is where I needed to be, where God needed me aligned to be. Then I'm applying for schools and I'm all done. And one advertisement pops up randomly for a school for a clinical program that I knew nothing about. But I talked to a counselor who says clinical is the only way to go. So boom, I'm off to that school. Now I'm at that school doing my thing at the same time as they're developing a doctoral program that would later call me and invite me to apply and give me a full ride and a stipend, right? And so check this out. The reason why I share that is absolutely not because I am so amazing or magnificent or anything like that. It's simply to share with you all that when God speaks something out of his mouth to you, when God tells you, I have that spouse, I have that degree, I have that job, I have that baby, I have that car, I have that provision, I have whatever it is that you need, even when it looks like you can't see him moving, even when it looks like, where is God? Does he care? All these other people around me are getting their blessings. All these other people around me are having these things work out for them. I don't see any movement in my life, right? I don't see any movement. The day that I woke up to go to work that day, I didn't know I was going to be getting an email saying, hey, we'd like to invite you. I was just doing my thing. As far as I could tell, God had forgotten about me and he wasn't paying any attention to me whatsoever. But that's the day that everything turned around and I was able to get the blessing that God had promised me. And it wasn't till even I've graduated now almost a decade ago at this point. And it wasn't till having this conversation with someone that I was able to see God's hand in that promise all the way back to my 10th grade year. So I was that was 20 years ago, because I would have been like 15, 21 years ago, right? Now, looking back 20 years ago, that's where I can see, oh, God moved this piece and he moved that piece and he aligned this person here and he placed that person there and he closed that door on purpose. Sometimes closed doors are not because God doesn't care and he's not seeing and he's not listening. It's because he doesn't need you to go that way. He needs you to go a different way. And the only way you're going to go that way is if he closes a door. That's another thing about my testimony I forgot. So I did the master's program. And when I was all done with it, that was the exact year that the state that I lived in said you can no longer get a degree or get a license with the degree that you have. So if it were up to me at that point, I was mad. I was like, I have signed my life away for 6 years of college debt at this point. I'm finished with my degree. Let me go ahead and get a counseling license. Let me just start working somewhere and let me just go on with life. The year I graduated was the exact year that my state said, clinical psychology, you cannot get a counseling degree with clinical psychology anymore, even though previously you had been able to. So that's that. And then getting rejected from every school I applied, those two together is what made me so angry with God, because I'm like, here I am. I just finished my master's degree and I can't get a license with this, which means that I am stuck making a very small amount of money with little chance to advance. I'll never be able to do a private practice. I'll never be able to supervise students. I'll never be able to do all these different things. So this degree feels like it was worthless or pointless. What was the point of this, right? So God closed that door right there and said, you got the degree and that's all well and good, but baby girl, that's not where you sit. And so it seemed like he forgot about me, or like, God, why would you let them make this vote? Why would you let the board approve this? Like, knowing I was getting this degree, are you helping me at all? But it was that closed door and not having that degree, or not having that ability to get a license, that forced me to say, even though I'm tired, even though I'm weary, let me keep pressing forward to obtain this next degree, because ultimately that is where God wanted me, because he's used my current degree to open up doors that I never would have been able to walk through had I had my previous degree only. So again, what I'm saying is, when God closes a door or allows a door to close, don't get angry with him. I mean, you can be upset. But know that sometimes that is actually where your provision is going to come from. He's closed that door so he can usher you down into another path, okay? So I just wanted to come on here today and share with you guys, when it looks like God isn't doing anything, when it looks like he has forgotten about you or his hand is not in something, when it looks like, you promised me this, everybody else is getting it, but I'm not getting it, what is going on? Keep the faith. God sees you. We have no idea the pieces that he is moving around in the background on our behalf until it's all said and done. And so while you're waiting, you want to think about what is going to be my posture while I'm waiting. You know, God loves me and he knows my attitude. He knows who I am. So he knew I was going to be upset. He knew I was going to pitch a little, hissy fit and have a tantrum and all that stuff. And he gave it to me anyway. But how much more beautiful for me would it have been to wait expectantly, to say, I never know when that day is coming. I never know when I'm going to get that call or that email, but I know God promised it. So I know it's on the way. Let me be joyful. Let me celebrate. Let me be thankful while that thing is coming to pass. Let me connect with God and focus on the provider of the promise and not only the promise itself, right? So how great it would have been for me to actually use all those years to be just in praise and in worship and in thanking God and in looking for his hand in things and not just assuming that he was not there for me or didn't care. So I guarantee you all, God is not a respecter of persons. If he did it for me, a first generation college student grinding, working, driving an old little car around, waitressing and doing all this different stuff just to make it through. If he did that for me and brought me where he's brought me today, he will do that for you, because there was nothing special about me. There wasn't even anything remarkable about my walk with Christ at that point. Like I said, I was very lukewarm. I knew God was around and existed, and that was about the extent. I would say grace over my food, right? I would pray if I got into some trouble, and that was about the extent. And even still, he looked at me and he said, I love her so much, and she is so much my daughter and my child, that I'm going to make sure that I systematically open and close and align and realign and have her cross paths with people who are going to get her where I need her to be, because I have something for her to do. I have a work for her. And so despite her attitude and everything else, I'm going to keep her on the path that she needs to be to get there. So please don't think he's forgotten you. Don't think that he is ignoring you. Don't think he is a bad father if some doors close or if it appears that he's quiet for a little while. If he promised you something, he is working on it, and it is going to come to pass, because that is simply who he is. Doesn't matter who we are. And so in this time of waiting, see if you can't do the best you can to lean into God and to trust him and to tell him how you feel. Tell him if you're hurting. Tell him if you feel lonely. Tell him if you're starting to feel like you're losing faith because everyone around you is getting the promise and you're not. Ask him to open the doors for you that you need to walk through, and tell him that even if it hurts, you're okay with him closing the ones that he's closed, and ask him to make provision for you while you're walking the path to get to your promise, because he will. He'll bring you friends who will bring you godly friends. He will bring you testimonies of people to encourage you. He will bring you scriptures to keep you going. He will let his spirit rest upon you, and you'll feel peace where you're like, I don't know why I feel okay. Like my lights just got turned off and I need, money to pay this bill, but for some reason I feel okay. He's going to work it out. And so please just trust and believe. He sees you. He told me to jump on here. There was a very heavy sense of urgency in me. My little braids are pulled. I like to have them, cascading to the side. I don't have my little gold backdrop or anything. I was just like, I got on a t-shirt, but I'm like, I got to get on here and I got to tell his children what he told me to tell his children, because it is not about me and having my braids cascading to the side and my gold background. It is not about me. It is about God getting the glory through my experience, because God worked all those things for me. And so this is about him reminding his children who he is. So please don't lose faith. Please don't lose heart. He sees you. He sees you. He sees you. And he is putting things in order for you, right? Just like 1, 2, 3, he's walking you down that path. He's ordering and organizing everything for you. He's there and he is moving and he loves you. So I just wanted to jump on here and share that with everybody. As always, if you need me, you can feel free to reach out. I'll put, all my information down below. If you haven't yet, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, click the bell, so you get notified whenever I put up new videos. But I just wanted to jump on here and give you all that testimony and just remind you, he sees you. He has not forgotten you. He is ordering things and he's moving with a sense of urgency. He is moving quickly. because again, I won't go into all of the details of how I came to come in contact with this person, to get to the point where I was sharing this testimony, to see how far back it went and all of that. That's a lot. That's maybe a story for another day, but God right now is moving very quickly and very urgently. And so keep the faith. He is working on it. He has got you. He is ordering everything just as it needs to be, so that you can just walk right on into that promise. So let him do his work. Let him do his work in the background, and thank him for doing it. And you rest. You sit down and you rest in the assurance that he has got you. He has got you just like he had me, even when my attitude was pretty stank, okay? But anyway, y'all, I love y'all. I could sit up here and chat all day with y'all, but I love y'all. Have a great day, and I cannot wait until I see you again.